Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you, Brother Bounds, for those introductory remarks. And let me just begin by saying that it is a great day to be an American, and it is a great day to be a Mississippian. It feels really, really good to be back in Neshoba County. You know, y'all probably heard me say this before, but my days coming to the fair started long before Tate Reeves got into politics. I started coming to the fair back in the 80s when folks like Reagan and Dukakis were speaking, and I've loved it ever since. After all, that's why my beautiful wife and Mississippi's First Lady, Ely, and I have spent 23 Julys of our 24 years of marriage right here at the fair. Speaking of, our state is so fortunate to have Ely serving as our First Lady. Ely, stand up and let's give her a round of applause. And I ain't very smart, but I am smart enough to know that in my entirety of my political career, she's always been a lot more popular than me. You know, there really is no place in America like the Neshoba County Fair. And while I may yet in my career have an opportunity to speak at other state fairs in places like Des Moines, I will always know in my heart that this place and this hallowed stage is unlike any other. You see, here in Neshoba County, red dirt meets red meat, and truth cuts through all the noise coming out of the East Coast, the West Coast, and Washington, D.C. Neshoba County is a place where folks just don't mince words, and you better believe that today, just like the first 22 times I've spoken here, I won't either. There's something truly special about the people in Neshoba County. Maybe it's the fact that, unlike most places, y'all don't care what the media says or what the social media mob thinks. Here in Mississippi, here in Neshoba County, we say what we mean, and we mean what we say. And above all, we still believe in faith, in family, and we still believe in freedom. And that is what makes me so proud to be a Mississippian. Now, it seems like most people in the press just don't always agree with that sentiment. They just can't possibly understand our Mississippi values and our Mississippi way of life. They sit in their liberal enclaves up in the north or the west, or in some instances, they even move down here to enlighten us of what they know is a better way. In fact, most of the time, it seems they are against our way every step of the way. They cannot fathom that a conservative government run for the people, by the people, will lead to educational and economic prosperity for all of our people. You've heard them say what we're doing as a state is wrong and that we are doomed to fail. You have seen them say it, often with a smile on their face, sometimes even a smirk. CNN ran a piece that said we are, quote, a state awash in destitution, pain, and suffering. Can you believe that? It really is something else. I think some of these people get a sick sort of enjoyment out of trying to keep our state down. A lot of these so-called reporters and activists aren't interested in telling the truth about the special things that are happening in our state. They'd rather push a false narrative to generate clicks. They're intent on pushing their own agenda at our expense. But as Mississippians, we know better. We're not buying into their lies. Instead, we're betting on ourselves and we're betting on our future. And let me tell you this, Mississippi has momentum and our future has never been so bright. Now, we know there has been fake news tossed around about our state for at least as long as all of us have been alive, but it seems like it's gotten even more fake and even more false in the last 6 years. How about this news from our friends at the Associated Press? In 2017, they said, and I quote, "Mississippi's economy is weak and shows few signs of growing stronger." Or how about CNBC? In 2022, they called us, quote, "America's worst state for business." How about the failing New York Times? They said that, quote, "States with abortion bans risk losing their economic edge." Boy, were they wrong. Today in Mississippi, we are knocking down barriers and our state's economy is booming. We set an all-time state record and then we break it over and over and over again. Take last week as an example. We announced that in calendar year 2024, Mississippi ranked number 7 in the nation for jobs reshored. And then in the first quarter of 2025, not to be outdone, we ranked number 3 in all of America in jobs reshored. Now, make sure you understand, these numbers are not per capita stats. They are not on a relative basis. I'm talking about total jobs. Mississippi's raw number of reshored jobs is more than 47 other states across America in the first quarter of 2025. This means that when companies are looking to bring jobs back to the United States, which is where they belong, by the way, more and more are looking to Mississippi. Don't let the media tell you otherwise. Mississippi is red hot. No state is as hot as us at attracting investment and creating jobs. And I got to tell y'all, this doesn't happen if you're, quote, the worst or one of the worst states in the country for business. And it certainly doesn't happen if you've lost your economic edge. Site Selection Magazine just ranked us number 7 in the country for business climate states. And it shows. In 2024, Mississippi had the lowest unemployment rate in state history. We had the second fastest growing economy in the entire United States. And we had the 4th fastest growing per capita income in all of America. You only attract over $35 billion in new private sector investment if you're a good investment. Mississippi stock is going through the roof, and more people are wanting in on the action. And honestly, I don't blame them. You only get $10 billion from Amazon to employ Mississippians on next generation AI infrastructure if your state is the real deal. You're only the 4th state in America to enter into a partnership with the world leader in artificial intelligence and the world's most valuable company, the first ever to have a $4 trillion market cap, if you have what's needed to succeed. Thank you, NVIDIA. This is a statement win for our future. My friends, speaking of artificial intelligence, when it comes to reporting on Mississippi's economy, the national media consistently gets it wrong, and they rarely get it right. These Yankee reporters are the very definition of artificial intelligence. But it doesn't stop with economic development. They've also been dogging our education reforms for years. Let's think about it and turn back the clock to 2012 and 2013. That's when we took bold action to reform our state's education system. What we did then wasn't popular. In fact, most of the activists hated it. But it ultimately made Mississippi the educational envy of the nation. And I'm so glad that we had the guts to run over the naysayers. And let me just say, we have more work to do, and more school choice in Mississippi will be good for all Mississippi students. But looking back to 2012 and 13, we instituted school choice for our students with special needs. We allowed students in failing districts to go to public charter schools. We changed the way in which we rated our school district. We consolidated school districts to get more money in the classroom. And while some states lowered standards, Mississippi did the complete opposite. In 2013, we passed the Literacy-Based Promotion Act. Some of you may know it as the third grade reading gate. We made a statement. We said, we aren't passing kids that aren't ready. We made a commitment to go back to the basics and use phonics-based learning techniques. We said that between pre-kindergarten and third grade, Mississippi students should be learning to read. But once those kids get to the fourth grade, they better not be learning to read, they better be reading to learn. If you can't read, you can't pass. It really is as simple as that. Now, there are a lot of folks that remember that time period as a period in which everybody was on board with these reforms. The truth of the matter is, we took a lot of heat for passing those bills, but it was the right thing to do. And that made the nationally renowned Mississippi Miracle possible. After we passed it, there were a lot of wild claims made, being thrown around all over. One very vocal liberal activist in our state said that Mississippi is, quote, setting these kids up for failure. The head of Obama and Biden, whatever, the head of Obama and Biden's education policy transition team even went so far to say, and I quote, if districts really want to meet the needs of third graders, they would pass struggling readers along to the fourth grade. How crazy is that? To all of them I say, bless your heart. But I also want to say this. Please understand, as long as I'm governor, in Mississippi, we don't give out participation trophies. But just in case you didn't see it, many of the naysayers are now admitting that they were wrong. In fact, just last week, Rahm Emanuel, who was Obama's chief of staff and the former mayor of Chicago, said on national TV that the Mississippi Miracle needs to be implemented nationwide. Now, y'all know I'm a numbers guy, and I think if you look at these numbers, it might suggest that for once in his life, Rahm Emanuel is right. Mississippi's fourth graders are number one in America for fourth grade reading and fourth grade math gains. In 2013, Mississippi's fourth graders were number 49 in the nation for reading. Now, they are number 9 in America. In 2013, Mississippi's fourth graders were number 50 in the nation for math. And now, they are number 16. But what I hope everybody here understands is the beautiful thing about these conservative reforms are that they're not just helping some of our kids in some of our districts. They're helping all of our kids in all of our districts. As an example, in 2013, Mississippi's African American students, when compared to their peers around the nation, were 45th best in America. Last year, they were number 3 in America. When compared to their peers around the country, Mississippi's Hispanic students now are ranked number 1 in the country in reading and number 2 in math. As y'all can see, Mississippi is no longer making news. We are now making history. We are consistently exceeding expectations. We are proving the doubters wrong, and we are charting a new path for prosperity for all of our people. So, my friends, let me just say this. Mississippi's critics don't understand us because they don't have any interest in getting to know us. They want to shame us for our values and for us to be ashamed for being Mississippians. But I don't know about y'all, but I know for a fact I got news for them. And this is real news. We're not ashamed to believe in God and to display our faith. We're not ashamed to defend our Second Amendment and to stand up for our Constitution. We're not ashamed to protect children from radical gender ideology that wants to change and corrupt them. We're not ashamed to say in Mississippi, we're going to let boys play boys sports and we're going to let girls play girls sports. We're not ashamed to support President Trump and his America First agenda. And we're not ashamed to work hard and to do whatever it takes to provide for our families. In other words, we are not, and we never will be, ashamed to be Mississippians. Mississippi is the home of what makes America great. Our people are hardworking, humble, hardy, and God-fearing. We make the ships, the trucks, and the steel that power the world. We grow the crops that feed the world's people. We look out for one another, and we do what's right. We're not quick to hop on fads, and we don't pay much mind to the professional talkers who degrade us, because Mississippians aren't talkers, we're doers. To all the members of the media who have trash-talked us for so long, to all of the liberal activists trying to push your agenda regardless of the consequences, to everyone who doubted our state and the fantastic people who live here, let me say this. You were wrong then, you are wrong now, and we know you will be wrong in the future. Mississippi is winning, and we're doing it without sacrificing the conservative values that help build the greatest state in the greatest nation in the history of mankind. Mississippi is no longer your punchline, nor is Mississippi your punching bag. We are a blueprint and a model of what is possible when you have conservative values, when you have the best people on the planet, and when you have an unyielding will to succeed. That is Mississippi. So I say, thank God for Mississippi. Thank y'all, and God bless.